In this episode, we're going to be talking about what is skip tracing, and we're going to give the who, what, when, where, and why of skip tracing. Just stay tuned. We're going to get at it right now. In this video, we're going to talk about, first of all, what is skip tracing? Second of all, who should we have do it? Third, when do we need skip tracing? 4, where do we go to get access to skip tracing? And finally, why is skip tracing important to you? Let's get started. Skip tracing is the action or practice of locating people that are missing or that have defaulted on a debt. So, when we're in the real estate business, we are often looking for people that are missing or who have defaulted on their debt. Maybe not debt to us, but they defaulted on someone's debt. Like everything else, skip tracing is an art. It's a talent. It's something you need to work at. So who should do it? Should it be you? Or are you better off doing what you do best, which is talking to motivated sellers and signing contracts? Or do we sub it out to a third party? I like to say sub it out to a third party, because that third party is going to be a professional skip tracing talent, and I want a professional. I don't have time to do skip tracing myself because actually it's a whole nother endeavor. We can only do so much a day. So when you have a chance to delegate something, let's delegate it. And I say skip tracing is something you can delegate. And before we move to this next topic, I want to make you aware of one thing. There are some free skip tracing services out there. They're not any good. They might work in a pinch, or if you don't have any other choice, you could start there, but they're really not any good. To get good quality skip tracing, you might have to pay a little bit more than free. So where do you go to get this skip tracing? Well, you could, again, set up to do it yourself. You could use a company called TLO, which stands for The Last One. There's a little story behind that, but we don't have time to get into it today. So you could go to TLO, and you could sign up to get your own skip tracing service and access. Let me warn you, this is not a 1, 2, 3 process. Powerful skip tracing software in the wrong hands can be very dangerous. So these skip tracing software companies put you through an arduous check. They're not only checking who you are, but they're doing background checks. They're doing interviews, and these interviews are more like interrogations, if I might say myself. And then if there's anyone in your office when you get interviewed, then they got to interview those people in the office. And again, the interview is more like an interrogation. Because, you know, if I have a certain amount of information on a person, I can get birth dates, social security numbers, VIN numbers on cars. I can collect just about anything. And it's a very, very powerful set of information that could be used for evil. So they don't hand out the rights to get into these systems easily. There are companies that'll help you, train you, and teach you how to get through the system so that you can get the software. But they're also going to check up on you too, because they don't want the systems getting in the wrong hands either. After that, though, once you've satisfied them, they'll let you know what you have to do to qualify so that you're prepared. Because when you fail this check, they don't just come right back and give you a second chance the next day. You gotta stay out for a long time. So know that if you're thinking about getting access to skip tracing that you're going to do yourself. I say instead of doing all that, why don't we hire a third-party vendor that's a professional skip tracing company, and let's just pay them to find the people that we need to find. Before I give you this next tip, be sure to hit that like button and share this with your friends. I'd appreciate it greatly. Now, obviously, we need skip tracing when we need to locate someone that we can't find or that's hard to find. We need a professional to help us find them. So if that's when we need skip tracing, and that's a great place to be, by the way, because if these people are hard to find, like I've said before, if they're hard to find for you, they're hard to find for everybody. So when you do find this person, you have a diamond in the rough. You've got a real valuable lead right there. So how do I find people that can't be found or that are lost? How do I get a list of people that are lost that no one can find? I kind of discovered just doing mail outs. You know, I would mail 10,000 postcards out to the whole city of San Antonio. And one day it dawned on me that I should send out a whole lot of postcards, and then I should only pay attention to the postcards that were returned to me, and then I could hand all the returns to a skip trace guy, and then I would start to have a way to develop a very high quality lead source. So I took 10,000 postcards and I mailed them out to 10,000 addresses in my hometown. Now, those postcards were saying, I would like to buy your house. That's basically what the postcard said to the recipient. I'd like to buy the house you're in, or do you know of a house I can buy that you own? I wasn't really expecting to get too many calls from that postcard because, the return on those kind of cards is pretty low. But I was expecting to get a lot of return mails, a lot of postcards returned to me saying they couldn't find the person it was addressed to. And that was what I was really interested in. So I sent out 10,000 postcards. I got 400 returned postcards that said, we can't find this guy. Then I took the 400 postcards and I walked them over to my skip trace person and said, find these 400 people. And we're off to the races. Now I have 400 very solid leads that we're working on. And I think that's why skip tracing is important to me and why it could be important to you. So before we present the link on how to get a hold of my book, My Life in 1,000 Houses, 200 plus ways to find bargain properties, I want to tell you this story about how skip tracing made me a lot of money. Once upon a time, there was a return postcard that I gave to a skip trace person. The skip trace person came to me after several days and said, look, I'm having trouble finding this guy. He's been hugely difficult to locate, but I have it narrowed down to 2 people. It's either this guy over in this foreign country or it's this guy over in this foreign country. And he goes, I don't really know what to do from here because I don't know how to speak either one of those languages. We asked for some people to translate in both of the languages, and we went onto Facebook and we did find this guy in that country, and we found the other guy in this country. We found both of them on Facebook. But of course, they were in different parts of the world. And then we had a translator send our message saying that, there was a house that he owned over here in the United States and that we wanted to buy it from him if he was interested. And then we gave evidence that he would know that we weren't just scamming him or sending some BS letter. We gave him solid evidence, something he would know, like relatives and people he would know, and gave him proof that we actually were onto something real. And so we sent both of them out in textbook and messenger, and one of them was the guy. And he called us back. We were able to make a deal with him. He went and notarized and signed all the papers at the embassy there in the country that he was in. And we bought this house, and that house made $63,000 net. And that guy was never so happy in his life either, because I think he picked up about $60,000. It was money from heaven for this guy, because he didn't even know he owned a house in the United States of America. And so when he got our letter and he got the check, he was very tickled. And we were also very tickled because that house made a very nice $63,000 profit for us. All started with a postcard, some return mail, and a skip trace guy. If you like that story about how skip tracing just might make you a lot of money, you're going to love this book. My Life in 1,000 Houses, 200 plus ways to find bargain properties. There's a lot of ways, out of the box thinking in this book. So check it out. And if you order right now from the link below, I'll even send you an autographed copy. It'll go out within a couple of days, and you'll really, really, really start to think out of the box when you read this book.